In this video, I really want to talk about a popper style topwater bait. To me, a popper is still a very, very good bait to use. I feel like sometimes it goes a little bit under the radar. With today's age of all the different topwaters we have, it's so easy to fish a lot of other baits. I mean, frogs and whopper ploppers, buzz baits and walking baits, but a popper is still a very effective bait, and sometimes it is the best bait to use. So in this video, I want to talk about a few situations where I think it's the best bait to use, and also a few tricks when it comes to fishing it. Now, before we get into it, this video is actually brought to you by Gills TV. I just launched a new video over on Gills TV, and you can actually watch Bassmaster Elite Series Pro Alex Redwine as he breaks down a river that he's never been to. Now, we talk a lot about lakes and ponds and reservoirs, but rivers is something that is very unique, especially with the abundance of cover that a river provides. So it's really cool to see how he dissects a huge river, how he really pinpoints certain areas where he thinks that bass are going to be. So basically, for the price of 2 bags of Cincos, you can have some really good content that's going to show you how to locate fish. I'm going to leave some links down below for Gills TV. All right, let's talk a little bit about a popper. Now, there's a couple of big situations where I like a popper. The first time, or the first area that I really like to use a popper is around brim beds. And this is something, or bluegill beds. This is something that you're going to start to see. We talked about it a few days ago on this channel. But anyways, this is something that you start to see really become a good pattern in the summertime. Whenever you have these full moons that come around, which we're kind of have one coming around here, a bluegill bed typically happens. You're gonna have a lot of these bluegill that come up, they're gonna spawn in really shallow water, and I'm telling you what, this is one of the best ways to target some really big bass. And I've actually seen this with both largemouth and spotted bass. I've actually been down in the Carolinas where some of the biggest spotted bass in the lake are actually up shallow eating bluegill. Now, I haven't seen this with smallmouth bass before. It wouldn't surprise me if you could get on a good bluegill brim bite with smallmouth though as well. But anytime I'm fishing a bluegill bed, sorry, I'm taking this thing out of the package here, I really like to throw a popper. I really like to throw it on kind of the outside edge of the bluegill beds. And guys, there's a number of different baits that will work well when fish are on bluegill beds, when bass are on bluegill beds, but a popper is definitely one that I have with me often. Another big time that I'm gonna throw the popper over a lot of other topwater baits is simply when they are missing those other topwater baits. There have been a few times in my life, for example, when I've been up in the northern part of the country and I'm fishing baits like a topwater spook, you know, your Sammy style baits, your topwater walking baits, and you will have days out there where the fish are hitting those baits, but you're losing them or you're missing them, especially when you're fishing around smallmouth. And that can be super frustrating to have a big 3, 4, 5, 6 pound smallmouth come up there and crush your topwater walking bait, and then they miss it. A really good follow-up bait in that situation is a popper. Now, one thing that I have noticed when it comes to actually fishing the popper is that speed is a big deal. Speed is really a big deal. And I've seen days, especially when it's flat calm out there, that the slower that you can fish this bait, the better it performs, the more bites that you get on it. But to me, I fish this bait primarily pretty fast. I think faster than the normal person. And I kind of have, most of the time when I'm throwing this out there, I'm gonna cast it out there and I'm gonna pop it 3, 4, 5 times real quick. I mean, choo. So it's just chugging through the water, and then I'll kill it real quick and then pop it 2 times and then kill it. And then again, 3, 4, 5 times, and I work it very, very, very fast. And so the nice thing about working it really fast, and kind of with what I was just saying, is that when you're on some of these expansive flats where it seems natural to pick up a spook style bait and the fish are missing it, sometimes you can pick up that popper instead. You can fish it just as fast, if not even faster, than you can a spook bait. But the thing about it is a spook is a lot smaller bait, or sorry, a popper's a lot smaller bait, and they tend to get it. They tend to eat it. So instead of missing a lot of fish, they start eating it. Now, later in the summertime, you will have a lot of the young of the year bait fish really start to be everywhere in the lake. Specifically, you have a lot of young of the year shad. You guys have all been there, you know, kind of September of the year. September, October, you have a lot of these shad that are in the lake that are 1 inch long, 2 inch long. I've seen a number of days out there on the water where the only topwater bait that they will hit is this, a little topwater like this one right here. This is the Arc. I believe it's called a TP70. Yeah. It's a TP70. This is a really, really good bait. This is a really good walking bait anyways. But when they're on really small bait fish, that is something that I really like to do, is pick up the popper. Now, one thing that I really want to talk about quickly with the popper, something that I found to be extremely important with this bait is the feather. I would say that most of the time when I am fishing a popper, I have a feather on the back. And I think that a lot of times the bass will dial in to that feather and you will hook up with those fish because of the feather. It looks a lot, especially like later in the year, like I just talked about, when you have a lot of those little tiny shad, really it's the feather that looks like a shad in the water, and it's why those bass come up there and hit it. I have also seen days out there where if you take the feather off, the bass will eat the bait better. Instead of getting just the back hook, they will have this bait sideways in their mouth. And so anytime I am out there and I start to get on a good popper bite, when I'm starting to catch a fish, I really pay attention to how the fish are getting it. Are they getting it sideways in their mouth? Are they getting just one hook on the tip of their snout? A lot of times if they're getting just that one hook in the tip of their snout, I will take that feather off and I will try it for a little bit and see if they don't start committing to the bait a little bit better. It's been crazy to me at times where simply taking the feather off, it allows them, basically, it doesn't give them something to look at, so they just eat the whole thing. And so I've seen that a number of different times. Again, especially with smallmouth. So pay attention with smallmouth. They just tend to be a little bit pickier when it comes to baits in general. So the popper is a great bait, but again, just like anything as far as bass fishing goes, if you're not around them, you're not always going to be able to tell, you're not always going to catch them. So the best thing to do if you want to get around them, check out Gill's TV. I'm telling you, it has some great content to really help you learn how to find fish. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this one. I will see you tomorrow.